welcome in everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world for the very last time of the 2024 season. This is Coast to Coast. I'm here with McLovin. How's it going, brother?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. And I told myself when I bought this house, I said, the last thing I'm going to do before New Year's comes in, I'm going to install me a flagpole. Well, damn it.
Okay.
So now I got my flagpole. So now I feel all patriotic today. So
nice. Oh, man.
That was my morning.
Remind me to send you a picture of our flagpole because we have a commercial one in our front yard. The base of it's this big around.
Oh, Jesus.
Thing is awesome.
No. Jay didn't have bow money. Jay had to get Jay had to get that one that's about that big around.
I didn't have that money either. It was already here when I got the house.
Oh, you got it with the house?
Yeah.
Tell me, was that the tipping point when they were like, I don't know, and then it's got a flagpole bow, and that's not any kind of flagpole; it's industrial bow. Like,
let's go! It's overbuilt.
It's industrial.
Nah, it's actually a really cool looking house. We call it the tile house because the guy that lived here before us was a tile installer. And so we have a very unique house in the way that we have tile work everywhere. And even the front side of the house, the top of it is all cedar plank. And then the bottom floor is all granite tile or slate tile.
Oh, wow.
And so
interesting.
It's very unique, very cool looking house. So that's actually why we bought it. It was just such a unique house. And then inside,
even when they're comping your house to sell your house, that's some very unique stuff that you wouldn't necessarily find on a typical comped house, right? I mean, I guess the best you can do maybe is go for square footage, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, that kind of thing, right? But
exactly, that's all they could do. Yeah, because there's not another house like it. Like next to the wall that's on the stairs is all backsplash tile.
Dang,
it's all black tile. And then I have a tile inlay in my bamboo hardwood floors downstairs. So I mean, just a very neat house. And so that's why even when we moved down to Mexico, we didn't sell it. We rented it out while we were gone because it's like, we like our house. Like we want to be able to come back to it.
Yeah, you want to come back to it at some later point in time and let somebody else carry your mortgage payment in the meantime. Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea. Shoot. You just got, like the guy that, one of the worst things I've seen so far is a friend of mine's building their house and they don't have very good,
no shortage of sockets. See, that's
no shortage of sockets. But you got sockets for days.
That's where you have an advantage because for some reason in our house, they're trying to burn it down, and they have a 70 amp lighting circuit. So it's a 70 amp breaker that feeds other breakers. It's the dumbest layout I think I've ever seen.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
No, it's just Bo. When she was putting her tile in, she put this certain like gothic looking top of tile or whatever it is on the floor, and then when she went to the ceiling, she put another different kind of pattern. But she had basically two conflicting patterns: one on the wall, one on the ceiling, and your mind is just like, I can't focus. I can't focus in this room. No, I need to get the hell out of here. And it's just they try to do too much sometimes with this tile. I think sometimes, sometimes a little bit less is more.
If you don't know what you're doing, for sure.
Yeah, you can overplay that tile shit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But anywho, I guess we should talk some sports.
I do need to get that upgraded. You are not wrong. So that will be one of my next things is ripping the panel out, putting a new one in. Yeah.
And then you get to trace all that wire. Oh, that's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it yourself or are you going to have somebody do it for you?
Oh, no, I'll do it. The good thing for me is I can build all this stuff. So.
Well, there you go. See, that's one feather in your cap right there.
Yeah. No, that's one of the small things that I can say I can do. I can pretty much build everything. So.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, well, I wish I could build everything. Damn it. Glenn Rich said, sup, guys? Man, Jason, this only helps to make sure we don't have a Dustin Bowl next. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Please make sure that the tip gets
Oh,
added into my check.
like pass that through the screen. Like, what are we doing right now?
She's like, "Ooh, ooh." And she hooked it up
Uh,
too, man. She gave me the poached eggs, man.
okay.
Never mind. They're fried. They're fried.
Okay.
Anyhow,
Nice.
if they'd been poached, you could have got a raise. You didn't poach them, so I guess you're stuck with me.
You know what? You get what you get, and you don't mind a bit.
That's right. You get what you get.
That sounds like some northern stuff. You've been hanging out with Bo too much. Get going down in there. Hey, enjoy your southern roots, damn it.
Yeah.
No. Hey, real quick.
That's where she's going to turn around and be like, "Bless your heart."
Yeah, you know what? For a long time, I didn't realize that "bless your heart" wasn't like a good thing. It was kind of like a sarcastic thing. It took me a little while to understand that. I was like, "Oh, she bless my heart."
Well, no. Like it can be all of the things.
No, I learned it. That's when somebody's really giving the middle finger.
No. Most of it, like it can be okay, but generally it's no. Yeah, Frankie, I'm right there with you. We got eliminated last night on our day off, and it's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's not like they would have done anything in the playoffs anyway. I mean, let's be honest. They're not going to beat anybody that was a good team. The offensive line has just been atrocious all season, and it is what it is. First year of a coach, a lot of new pieces on defense, an offensive line that was ranked, close to the bottom all year. Even if they would have made it into the playoffs, wouldn't have really done anything. I don't even think the Rams, honestly, are going to go do anything. But,
I mean, the only bad thing about it is like look at the Cowboys, for example, right? They're eliminated from the playoffs, but yet every now and then they'll win a game. I'm like, no, dude, you're eliminated. Stop winning games. Start losing shit. We had to shift trajectories. Now we're trying to get draft picks.
They definitely lost the other day.
Yeah. Listen, thank goodness, man. Because I'm telling you, man, because at this point, we're not playing for anything. There's no pride. There's no nothing. We got eliminated. Well, if we're going to get eliminated, let's start looking to the next years. And let's be honest, Bo, as you know, Cowboys are in cap hell. So anything we can get through the draft to help us?
The thing is,
if Action Gentry falls to us, I swear I'm going to be happy as hell.
There's so many bad teams this year. Like, you guys don't have a shot at that. It's one of the weirder years of the teams were either really good or really bad. There wasn't a lot of in the middle teams, especially on the AFC. The AFC side was as split as it could get. On the NFC, there was a little bit, but I mean, for the most part, you were either good or you were bad.
Yeah. Well, even this year on the NFC side, now a lot of these injuries are starting to come into play. Like, look at Detroit. I mean, they're getting ready to go to the playoffs, and they got some injured guys down. I mean,
yeah, they really need to beat the Vikings next week, so they can get that bye week, just in hopes to get guys back healthy. I mean, like a lot of their guys are on IR; they're just out. But I mean, they have guys that are banged up that they could use. Right. But talk about unfortunate for them to get hurt the way they did. All in the second half of the season.
Right. And it really is. It really is. That's one of the things about sports for me that is a hard thing to conceptualize. You're playing great, everybody's healthy, everything's going the way you want it to go, and then you start taking on injuries, and then the season gets bleaker and bleaker, and you're like, man, what the hell? Man, you think you put all this work into something, and then sometimes as quick as an injury can just take everything out from underneath you. I mean, I can imagine as a football player, that's a hard thing to go through, the emotional swings of it.
No, I mean, like as the players, you're just out there trying to win games, right? Like do you think about it for a second, and then it's back to business as usual because you need that next man up thing. Like as a player, that's exactly what you're thinking is all I can do is my job.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, like, if you're a competitive guy, like let's take a Brady, for example. If you're somebody like Brady who's extremely competitive, and then you're riding this emotional high. I mean, everybody knows they're human beings like the rest of us. You got to imagine there's got to be some kind of emotional toil that they go through as players.
Yeah. So when the first couple guys go down, you think about it a little bit. Once you start getting a lot of injuries, you're just out there trying to make it happen. Like you're really not thinking about it anymore.
Right.
But yeah, so. And again, injuries are part of the game, so it's not like it's a unique situation. Like everybody that's played for any amount of time is used to having teammates get hurt. So,
Right. Right.
does it suck? Of course. You never want to see guys get hurt. But when they do, you're just like, okay, I hope the next guy that's filling in can do the job. You know? Hey,
Yeah.
sorry to hear about your dad, Chris.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. We'll be sending some prayers your way, brother. I know it's never good to have a loved one in the hospital.
And Frankie, that was the most Giants thing to do. Like they can't even tank right.
Come on, man. You can't even tank right. What the hell?
I mean, Drew Lock goes out and throws a clinic. And he put up what, like 40 something, right? Just hilarious. The Patriots are back in that number one spot. It is hilarious that the Giants can't figure out how to do anything right ever. So now instead of potentially getting their quarterback of the future, because there's only two on the board, really, and neither one of them are like slam dunk, they're your guy. But there's only two.
I'm glad you brought that up, Bo, because I was going to ask you. So they just drafted Drake May. And I don't think Drake May's a bad guy. I think you can make something out of Drake May. Do you continue to ride Drake May, or like you said, do you take one of those quarterbacks, or do you go after a Travis Hunter, which is a two-way kind of guy that you could really benefit off? Like, which way do you play that?
No, you probably go Hunter, honestly. I think May is every bit as good as either Shedeur or Cam Ward, right? Neither one of those guys are going to be ideal day one in the league anyway. So, like Cam tends to hold the ball a little too long. Shedeur, he's just going to bring so much craziness with him that, who knows. Plus, he looked terrible in that bowl game. So, we'll see. But it would probably actually make sense if they were to trade back and
get multiple picks.
Get multiple picks, because, I mean, the Patriots need a lot of things, right? Like, it's not like one guy is going to fix anything. Travis Hunter obviously would be interesting to pick up, but you don't have to pick him up as the number one pick, right?
Right.
There's enough quarterback needy teams that, they can probably trade back to like 2 or 3 and still get Travis Hunter, and then have probably like maybe a later first round pick, or, another second or something like that. I mean, they can probably trade off of that first overall pick, still get their guy, but add some draft capital.
Absolutely. That's absolutely. And I think that's a key thing. Like you said, if you're not completely sold on those quarterbacks as being your guy, then I would definitely trade back.
Yep. Yeah, no, a lot of people are thanking the Giants for being dumb, because not only did they lose the number one pick, but they dropped a lot. Yeah. So, like, if it were all to end up today, they'd be drafting number 5. So if they had any hope of a quarterback, it's gone. Because now you're looking at, you're looking at like day 3 guys probably at quarterback. So interesting for sure. So
I think if you don't get those first 2 guys, I don't even think I'm drafting a quarterback. I probably look at other positional needs. So unless you are just hard up, I would probably look at other positional needs.
Well, I mean, certainly day 1, right? Like, you're not going to pick up any of those guys day 1, but Ewers is probably the guy that if you had a really good offensive line, right? Because the guy can sling the rock. He just is injury prone. So if you could pick him up day 2 as a late second, early third, that would be a nice pickup, because if he stayed healthy through his career, he'd be a top 5 pick. So because he's been injured every single year, he's going to be a day 2, maybe a day 3 guy. And I would bet you can pick up Ewers, which would be a great fit for a team with a good offensive line. Again, probably late second, early third round.
I think if you can get Ewers in the third round, to me that would be the appropriate round to get him in, right? I mean, I really think the Georgia game kind of exposed him a little bit, but it also exposed Sarkisian not getting his team ready. I mean, there's a lot of things you could go back in that game and review, but I just think that Ewers, I'm not settled on that guy. I think he's a good journeyman quarterback, is what I think.
Well,
I think
that's
he's great,
the thing.
but I think he's a good journeyman.
Like, he's good, but he's that drop back guy. Like, you have to have a good offensive line. You can't have a hodgepodge of players and hoping he moves around. Like, he's not that guy. He's not a drop back passer, which you don't see a lot of in the league anymore. But if you have a good offensive line, it could work. So a team like the Patriots could use that, because the one thing the Patriots have always been good at, line play.
Right.
They may not be able to figure out how to put weapons on the field, but offensive and defensive lines have been money. So, I could see a team like that. Now, obviously, again, they have Drake May, so they probably don't need him. But a team like that historically has good offensive line play could use a guy like that. I do think Barkley gets the record. Not that the Eagles necessarily need to play this game. They could rest guys if they want, but I would bet they probably get him the record. He's 100 yards away.
He's definitely going to get that record. Well, they got like 2 games left, right?
Just one.
Is it just 1 game left?
Yeah, so he basically, for him to tie, he needs exactly 100 yards. So if he goes 101, he breaks Dickerson's record. And
who's really playing? Who are they playing this week?
The Giants.
Oh, God.
Exactly.
If Saquon don't break it, yes, I would absolutely say Saquon is going to get that title.
Yeah, so that would thrust him back into the MVP conversation. It's the only way he could win it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
He can't win it any other way. But if he resets the all-time rushing record, and before people lose their mind and say, oh, he had an extra game, Dickerson had 2 extra games over OJ. So let's pump the brakes on.
Yeah, let's just keep it. Let's keep
the
it
goalpost. The other thing is even if you want to say he had an extra game, well, let's just do stat for stat. He's 100 yards away from tying on 34 less carries. Do you think he's going to get 34 carries in the next game? No. Do you think he breaks the record still? Absolutely. So he's probably going to set the record.
Get about 20 carries. I think Saquon gets about 20 carries is what I would
exactly say. So did he get an extra game? Sure. But if you look at it as far as carries and yardage, he'll probably end up breaking it on 15 to 20 less carries.
But there's so many things, though, that go into that, Bo, right, in terms of yardage. I mean, you got to look at offensive line plays. I mean, there's so many variables that can impact what a guy does versus what another guy does. I thought it was a hard thing to do.
So offensive line play.
And what I mean by that, I'll give you the most extreme case is Barry Sanders. That guy had no freaking line, but yeah, he still managed to get those yards.
Yeah, Barry was an outlier, but the biggest thing is yes, you're right. Offensive line plays a huge role, but I think one of the things people don't really think about is Saquon is doing this in a league that's designed to throw the ball. Right? Dickerson did it when your main attack was running. That was your primary focus, was running the ball, and you'd throw off the run. Now it's the other way around. You are generally generally a pass happy league. And so for somebody to be resetting that record in a league that basically discounts your running backs, and they don't want to pay them anymore. I mean, there's kickers that are making more than half of the running backs. So, for it to be happening now, it is actually a testament to his ability, because it's not like
I knew the run game was getting phased out. When I saw the fullback position go away, I knew it had to be a matter of time before they really started devaluing the run game. And of course, obviously now it reflects in their price range, what they're getting per contract a year, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's interesting. And obviously that in that position is such a short-lived position, right? I mean,
yes.
Especially back in those days. I remember when Earl Campbell was in the league playing for the Oilers, he accounted for 70% of the offense. Only 30% was through the air. 70%
Yeah, well, I mean,
of it went through him.
think about a lot of those Adrian Peterson teams. Like that dude would run it, and of course, obviously, he's an outlier because somehow he played forever, also. But yes, the Raiders also found a way to not lose correctly. So good on them. Now they've wasted. I don't even think they're in the top 10 anymore. So good on them for doing dumb stuff. That's just kind of the Raiders' way. So
that's another kid that's in complete disarray, right? I mean, you thought the Giants were in disarray. These dudes over in Vegas, they are completely disarrayed. I don't know what they're going to do to put that team back together.
Well, it's funny because 2 weeks ago you would have thought, oh, they're going after Shador.
Yeah.
Right? And then now they win 2 games. I think they're on the outside of the top 10 now picking because of how many bad teams there are. So now you have no chance at him. I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback because O'Connell isn't the guy and
O'Connell and Minshew is deciding between. You might as well say, do I want a can of Spam or do I want a can of Spam Light?
But both cans have been open for like a month.
You know what I'm saying? Right? What are we doing? Like,
no, I mean, at least
a quarterback, it's the Raiders that should be drafting up to get a quarterback.
At least Minshew is entertaining to watch. But, at the end of the day, that's just Raiders doing Raiders things. So now they're out of the running for the only 2 quarterbacks that are really in this draft. So, we'll see. They're 8. Okay. So apparently the Raiders are 8, but there's still a week to go, so they could absolutely mess that up. And Scott, I do think that everybody's going to be playing for the Lions because the first round bye is still on the table for them, and they could absolutely benefit from having a week off. So they're going to go flat out to try and win tonight. If they don't win for some reason, next week I bet they sit everybody because they, against the Vikings, they'd be a game behind. So I would think that they would probably sit everybody against the Vikings to just get that, essentially get their bye week. So that would be kind of how I see that. But as far as tonight, the Lions are going to be there to win.
I never really liked the whole, first round bye in the playoffs. I always feel like you come off a little cold when you get against another team that's already been, seasoned up, ready to go. I don't know, man. I mean, I always like it when you play a little bit into the season, or the playoff.
I mean, it depends on how beat up you are.
Oh yeah, unless you're the Lions, like you said, who need that time. Yeah, no, I get that.
I mean, if you're healthy and on a roll, I would rather play the extra game and just keep going. Right? You don't want that momentum killer. On the other hand, if you're really beat up, then I want to take the week off to try and get guys back on the field.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt. Hey, real quick, did you see, I saw this the other day where FSU players are now suing the university over NIL monies.
Who's suing them?
It was FSU. It says, ex-FSU players sue coach over $250,000 NIL promise.
Oh, there's actually been a few of those.
I was wondering how long it would take for that to start surfacing because you got to imagine these guys are getting offered all kinds of stuff and how much is really valid.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is they are verbal agreements that don't make it on paper, and so they agree to go to the school. I think it was Miami had one at the beginning of last season that. The kid was suing him for like a few $1 million because there was an assistant coach that promised some NIL money that didn't come through. I forget the exact numbers. Again, it was at the beginning of the season. So, a few months ago, but
I don't know if you can win that. Can you even win that kind of a lawsuit? If it's not on paper, then it really doesn't exist unless somebody's got a tape recording or text messages or something.
Verbal contracts are a real thing. Like you can absolutely get burned in court over some verbal contracts. In this scenario, I think they ended up settling, right? Because it just kind of disappeared. So I'm guessing it probably settled for something. But the NIL thing is a mess because they let it happen, but didn't have any like rules to it. So
well, this is the first time I've actually seen it surfacing. I gotta imagine now. Do you think there's going to be more that come behind it? And then it starts to become more prevalent.
Yeah, I did know that UNLV also had one. There was a few of them. There was a few players that ended up with some situations where they were promised stuff that didn't end up on their contract, and they either didn't read it or they didn't have a legal team go over it. Or in any case, the deals kind of weren't fulfilled. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's going to be sort of a thing over the next few years as this NIL thing kind of gets figured out, not just from like the player side, but also from the schools, being as the schools, even though they do have control of NIL a little bit, they don't directly control the NIL. So, I mean, it's just kind of a weird, just a lack of planning, which is a very NCAA thing to do. But they basically just released the genie, and then we're just like, oh yeah, maybe we should figure out some rules. And the genie's like, the hell with you, I'm out.
Nah, we didn't give our boy any rules. Why am I getting the rules?
Yeah,
now?
exactly.
Nah, we good.
Exactly.
Let's just keep doing what we do. You released it. Now you just got to enjoy the aftermath.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? It's Pandora's box is open. It's just like, man, you guys really should have maybe put some thought into this. So
yeah, I mean, a little bit wouldn't have hurt, especially when you're going to be dealing with the kind of money that these guys are dealing with.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it's crazy. It's a mess. But I mean, that's just the NCAA. Speaking of a mess, though, if you've had people over at your house and you haven't had your duct cleaning done in a while, it's definitely time to do that. There's more than 15,000 dryer fires every year from dryer ducts that haven't been cleaned. We have a special going through the new year. 10% off, promo code Football Talk at Archer Duct Cleaning right here in the Pacific Northwest. Also here in the Northwest, True Fusion Gym. Use the QR code on the screen, get a free 5-day pass at any of the 3 locations: Bellevue, Ballard, University Village, Pilates, boot camp, yoga, and more. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym. And if you're into sports betting, which we are close to the end of the season, and of course, bowl games, this is high time to throw some bets on the game. Unless it was the Buffaloes, you would have lost. But use the QR code here, up to 125% of your initial 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee. In case you did bet on the Buffs, use that QR code and bet alongside us here on Coast to Coast.
And I will tell you this. If you faced a bet that said Jay McLovin and Bo would be closing out, the only ones closing out this show for this year, you could have been a severely paid person.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, it's good stuff.
No, but I seriously wanted that. Think about, okay, so this is a coach now that's getting sued by this guy. If you're a coach for a team and you're going in there and you're trying to give your best living room talk and you're promising this, does it now hamper those guys is going in like, I'd be nervous as a coach. Like, I don't know if I can give you this because if the university backs out, you're going to be suing me. Are we going to be seeing that kind of stuff?
So the thing is what they need to do is they need to be schooled, like the coaches need to be schooled up on what it is they can say and what it is they can imply, right? So you can say, yeah, we can give you this and this because those are the NIL things that are available to you, right?
Right.
You can imply some stuff as far as just be like, hey, there are these options. That's not something that's set in stone, but it's something that we can try and work out. So there's ways to still try and promise those things without saying you're going to get this, and then the kid gets there, and then you can't do it, and you get sued. There's ways to, be like, hey, we should be able to do this, but I can't say that it is that, right? So it's going to be a problem. Schools are going to get sued. I mean, and that's going to happen for probably the next 5 years until there's essentially a college athlete players association. Is probably how that's.
You got to imagine that's got to be coming down at some point. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be. There has to be, because I mean, otherwise, you're just going to end up with a whole lot of situations like this that. Because nobody knows what the rules are.
Right.
Nobody set any rules.
So I guess would it be fair to say then that really high school football is the only amateur level of football now that there is? High school and be
Oh, yeah.
and less. I mean,
Yeah.
'cause now everybody's paid. I mean, once you start paying these guys, now they're not amateurs anymore. So I mean, it's almost like the amateur way of. Because I know a lot of people that didn't like players making money because they felt it took away from the sport, the purity of the sport, things like
Sure.
that.
Sure.
And
So
yeah.
it's funny because I've been saying for the last 2 years they should get rid of the amateurism rule for
Right.
college football, because then all of a sudden things like the XFL and the USFL, it's all together now. But I mean, when these leagues
Right.
have started to come out, it made it so that these kids that were in school that maybe aren't the number one guys would get more reps. Right. So they'd be
Right.
able to go into some of these summer leagues when football is over in school. Right. Which they couldn't do before, because if you got paid, whether it was, the USFL or if it was the AFL or, any of the arena leagues, anything like that, all of a sudden you're not an amateur anymore. You lose your eligibility. Well, now you're getting paid to be in school anyway. So they should just have a clause that, hey, maybe you can't go back to college after you've been in the NFL. Right. Maybe that's how they limit it. But if you go to any of these lesser leagues where you don't actually make any money anyway,
Right.
like even the top leagues, you're still not making big money. Right. Like the NFL is the only one where you actually make a lot of money. So if they were to get rid of the amateurism rule, being as they're not amateurs anymore anyway,
Right.
then all of a sudden you'd get a better quality product, because some of these kids in the off season could go play in the Euro League or in the UFL
CFL even.
or arena leagues, or maybe even take a stint at the CFL, something like that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess like the schools were making so much money off them. I really don't feel bad that they're getting paid. And the scholarship thing, I get that. I feel like there should be a window there. Like if you get a certain value of NIL deal, they take the scholarship away.
I like the NIL giving the players money. I like that. I just think the structure in which they put it out in wasn't fully developed. And I think that if they could have had a little bit better structure, then I think that would have at least eliminated something. Maybe put better parameters into play so it's not a free for all.
I mean, any rules at all probably would have been helpful. But
well, yeah, I mean that's a whole other thing too. Then you got the transfer portal. I mean, it's like there's no like when you sign a damn letter of commitment, damn it, that should be a binding contract, and damn it, that's just where you go.
So
now you got but now it's all over the place. So even if you get this guy, or you get the best recruiting class ever, but if he can't hold on to him because of the transfer portal, well then fuck.
See, the transfer portal is actually where I have a bigger problem than NIL. I have no problem with these kids making money. The schools have been making money off of their names forever.
For sure.
NCAA football, that video game alone has been cashing in on those kids forever. So I have no problem with them making money. Besides, it helps them pay for stuff. So like I'm not mad at it. When you think of how many kids play sports in college and the tiny number of them that make it to the pro level, right? Like if they can make money while they're in school, which may be the only level they get to in sports, I'm for it. Right. The transfer portal, I am not a fan of. And it's only because of the way that it works. So like if you landed in a spot where you're just never going to get an opportunity to play, I don't have a problem with, jumping into transfer portal. I get that. I don't like that you have the transfer portal is open now, and then it's open again after the spring game, and then it's open again when the season starts. So
like that's some crap, man.
Yeah, like I don't love that.
No, because you're really screwing up programs that are and stuff like that. I mean, it's I just don't think it's a good way of doing business at all. I don't. I think if you sign a commitment letter, then if you want to do a transfer portal, I'll be like, okay, look, you get 1 year. Your freshman year, you got 1 year to evaluate the school. If you don't like it, okay, you go to transfer portal. But after that, so if you go if you're like in year 2 of your college career and you think you want to go to transfer portal, no, you had the first year to figure that out. Now you're done. I'm sorry, you're locked in.
Well, no, I mean, like again, if you end up in a situation where you're not going to be able to play, like I get it. Like you
wouldn't you know that kind of in the first year, kind of sort of, you kind of have a good feel of the lay of the land in that first year?
No way, because there's somebody that could come into college behind you that is a better talent. or
I mean,
fits
that's a good point. That's a good point.
or fits the coaching style better, right? So I wouldn't think that would be the case. But imagine it. This is where I really don't like it. Imagine it from the coaching standpoint, because before you'd recruit in people's houses and whatever, right? Now you have to recruit your own players to try and keep them on the team. Now you're also recruiting players from other teams to try and get them to come over. And
Right.
because of when these kids can just transfer out, you may have guaranteed some NIL money to a kid that then last minute is like, oh, you know what? I can go from, Sacramento State. Now I have an offer to go to Alabama, and they had some of your NIL money tied up. Now the season's starting. You're losing this key player. Sure, you get that NIL money back, but it doesn't matter anymore because you're starting the season without that player. And you're talking about a school that doesn't have the NIL, money that a, Miami or Alabama or Texas, any of the big power schools, Georgia, so it ends up setting a program back because the kid's like, you know what? I got a better offer. I'm out. So I don't love that.
I just, with the way that, like you said, with the way the transport portal is now, my biggest thing is it just keeps you from developing continuity in your team.
Yes.
Because they're constantly going left and right, left and right, left and right.
Exactly.
To me, that just hurts programs all over the place.
Well, and it's this right here really makes me mad, is the bowl game situation as a whole. One, the transfer portal should not be open before the bowl games happen. Like you should have to finish.
Yeah.
Second, you're paid players now. So if you are not going to play in the championship games, bowl games, whatever you want to call them, I want some of my NIL money back because
oh, hell yeah.
Let me just say, if you work for a company and you're like, you know what, I am just not going to do this big project, not going to show up for work at all. In fact, you know what they're going to do? They're going to fire you. So you can't do that to a student, but you should be able to take their money away if they don't play in the game. So I don't love that. Plus, I don't love that for the other kids on the team, right? I get that you might get hurt. You know what else could happen? You could get hurt on the drive home. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Like, I always wanted to play every game I could ever get on the field. So I can't wrap my head around that anyway. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you're there to play football. And I want to see you in big moments.
I blame Kawhi Leonard for all this. He's the one that started this load management craziness. Now everybody's load managing.
I mean,
all sports are load managing.
He didn't. He just did it in the most annoying way. He wasn't the first one to do it.
He did, though. Load management. Man, we didn't even know what load management was back in the day. When I was in high school, there was no load management, man. We rode your ass into the ground.
Yeah. No, I mean, they it was around before him, but he did it in such a it made you mad every time. You're just like, come on, man.
But when he was with San Antonio and all that kind of stuff before he got the ring with San Antonio, or even in Toronto, it's like when he left Toronto, he became a different Kawhi Leonard. Like when he came to the Clippers, it was just horrible from day one. In terms of, not talking about the injury aspects and him not being on the court.
No, he actually had that when he was with Toronto also. If you remember, he only played like half the season. He load managed half of that season. They actually played better without him. Like their points per game were better without him on the floor. Now, granted, they won, and so that's great. But the only time that he was really locked into basketball was with the Spurs.
And I think a lot of it was that Popovich effect. I mean, Pop was just such a good guy, man. He can get the most out of players, Like he don't play up the nonsense and stuff. That's probably why he had a damn stroke. I mean, he probably put so much on himself, and
well, I mean,
it takes so much.
Pop's old too. Like,
well, he is old.
I mean,
but he don't seem old, man. Pop just seems, I don't know. That guy just seems like he doesn't age. Him and Pat Riley, I feel like they don't age.
I mean, you got to remember, like he was the coach that brought in David Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, let that marinate. How long he's been with that franchise? I mean,
yeah.
Good night, man. I mean, and look at all the people that have come out of the Popovich tree that have had good careers, even all the way up to Becky Hammond getting the WNBA Aces team. I mean, that's incredible.
No. Like, amazing coach.
What time? But who do you think is better though, Pop? And I know you're. And if we take the rings out of the equation, who do you think was the best basketball coach? If you took rings out of the equation,
Pro. You're saying pro?
yeah, pro. I'm sorry, pro. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm still gonna go with the triangle, man.
Yeah.
Gotta go with the triangle. Because I mean, he had dynasties in 2 locations.
I mean, he did, but he also had players that were already in position when he got there. I mean, it's hard to go into LA and not be able to win when you got Kobe and Shaq. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a hard. Now, I do understand the personality management and can you manage these guys, and I understand that part of that too, though. So,
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing is, what do you end up with? Like 10 rings?
I think he went up with 11.
11 rings.
Because he broke Auerbach, and Auerbach had, I think, 10 with the Celtics.
Yeah, no, he had 11 rings. Yeah, because he had 6 with the Bulls, 5 with the Lakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think, man, Auerbach, I love Auerbach, man. That dude.
Sure.
If you look into his history and how he did it and how many games and stuff he won during the Bill, and of course, Bill Russell was Bill Russell. I mean, what did they have, like 11 championships in a row or something like that? I mean, it was stupid, right?
Yeah, I mean, they won a lot.
I mean, they won a lot, you know? That's why I always have a hard time when people say Phil Jackson is the best. I think Phil Jackson is an amazing coach. But, you know, when you put him up against Red Auerbach, I mean, you're talking about 2 generational type of people, right? I mean, Bill Russell's time frame, Jordan's time frame of different basketball, whatever. But I still think Auerbach is the guy.
He still had to assemble teams, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, you know, did he have Jordan? Sure. But if you remember, Jordan didn't win anything for quite a while.
It took a little bit to get up off the – yeah.
I mean, he was in the league for what, like 6-7 years before they finally won.
Yeah.
So I know everybody likes to pretend that Jordan everybody pretends Jordan played for 6 years. Like he had a long career. He won 6 rings. So like
no, he did. No, he absolutely did. But you're right. I mean, it took him a little bit, but it would take anybody a little bit to get up off the floor and run. I mean, when your team is horrible, I mean, it takes a little bit. And then you're a rookie too.
But that's my point. It's like, yeah, you can say he had Jordan and he had Kobe, sure, but he had to assemble the teams around him. I mean, Pop had Robinson and then he had Duncan. Like,
yeah, I guess what I'm saying with that though is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, like that argument applies to the Bulls absolutely because he brought that team from 0.
Sure.
But when I look at the Lakers though, he kind of walked into that one though a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? He already had some pretty core players there. He just had to tweak it up a little bit. But Kobe was there. Shaq was there. I mean,
well,
or did Shaq come later? I can't remember.
No,
Shaq
he brought
at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, he brought Shaq there.
Okay.
And Kobe wasn't winning anything until Shaq got there, right? Just like
Jordan.
Yeah,
that duo really needed some. Yeah.
Well, and that's like Jordan didn't win anything until Pippen was there.
But like, you know what I thought was interesting about Kobe though is even though Shaq left, he just turned over to Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom, and said, "Okay, this is where we're going now." And then he kept on rolling. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, like a big man like that.
It's also one of the things that's funny is, you know, everybody talks about how amazing Jordan was, which hands down, no question, he was. To me, still the greatest of all time. But remember, he was gone, and Pippen still got him deep in the playoffs. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, that team was amazing even without him.
Oh, yeah. I remember, you know, as a kid watching the Utah Jazz and the Bulls go at it in the NBA Finals a couple of times. And, you know, I just kept telling my dad, I was like, man, if I was Karl Malone, I'd just mail this game, man. Because he just knew who was going to win. Like, that's how dominant the Bulls were during that time period. You were thinking, like,
sure.
Is there anything at all the mailman and Stockton can do and Hornacek can do to get over this? You know, and they never could. They just never could.
Well, no, I mean, I watched my Sonics fall short to him also. Took him to the last seconds of a game 6.
Yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, back when we had a basketball team, you know, minor note, go screw yourself at NBA. All right.
No, but think about it. Like, the Jordan kind of overshadowed eventually Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons, but the Bad Boys out in Detroit, I mean, I feel like that team gets overlooked sometimes. I mean, that was a really strong team back then.
Oh, it was an amazing team. It was an amazing team. And that was early on in Jordan's career. And of course, people, hate on him for that, but he didn't have a lot around him and he wasn't a mature player, right? Like he was out there, he was out there trying to put up points, right? He was playing great defense. He was putting up points. What he wasn't doing was using his teammates. So it was solo ball all the time.
I think Jordan, I watched some of the documentaries on him, and I do think they stole the Sonics. I still have a hard time understanding why Seattle doesn't have a basketball team, but Memphis does.
So as far as everything looks, 2026 should be the year the Sonics come back. That'll be after the new TV contract is signed. They really want a team in Vegas, and there's so much pressure from the outside of the NBA and within the NBA to get Seattle a team back, and we rebuilt our stadium that it was in. So we fulfilled all the requirements to get a team back. I would bet money that Seattle gets theirs for 26, 27.
Oh, that would be interesting. That would be really interesting because I always felt like the Sonics were one of the teams I liked. I don't know why. Maybe it was a cool uniform. I always kind of like that green and yellow top neon uniform. I like that with Oregon, when Oregon does it, and the way Seattle did it. I like that. I like that color scheme, and I kind of miss that. I miss the Sean Kemp days.
Oh yeah. Well, and the thing that's funny is, when you think back to it's been a long time since the Sonics were here. But at the same time, it's been recent enough that they're the team that drafted Durant.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant's first year was in Seattle.
I remember when Kevin Durant, he went to the Sonics and then they moved to OKC. I remember all.
Yeah.
Because Durant went to not my alma mater, but he went to my cousin's alma mater, University of Texas. I just claim him as my alma mater. I never went there because it's not like my grades were good enough to go to UT. But
what is sad is since 2000, the Sonics still have more playoff appearances than the Mariners.
Now that's insane.
I think the Sonics moved in 05?
Yeah. My favorite Sonics guy, I mean, how can you not love the glove? I mean, the glove was just awesome. Gary Payton was just amazing back in those days,
Yep. Payton, Kemp. Detlef Schrempf is actually
Detlef Schrempf? Yeah.
He's around. In fact, he's always airborne. If you follow him on Twitter, X, whatever the hell we're calling it, he's always traveling around. But yeah, Kemp is still here in the Seattle area. Peyton comes up here anytime we do anything regarding basketball.
Right.
Same with Schrempf. So I mean, yeah, it's a basketball town. Like people went to the games. It was unfortunate that they got stolen from us.
My thing about it is, when I think about a name like Detlef Schrempf, number one, I'm thinking like, that sounds like a seafood platter. Number two, who the hell? I mean, you got to imagine he had to get picked on with that kind of a name. You had to get picked on a little bit in school. Like he had to have. I think he got a tough skin.
Not a chance, man.
You don't think so?
No.
Shrimp. Your last name is Shrimp. Come on.
Dude is 6'6".
I don't care.
What are you
still not gonna lose to a guy whose last name is Shrimp.
Oh man.
But he was a great player though. I mean, look, you guys had a lot of good ones out there. You had Steve Largent that was out in Seattle. I mean, you guys had a lot of good players come to that Seattle area.
Oh, no question. Yeah.
I remember that.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's 6'10".
Well, you took 4 inches off of him, bro.
And even still, you would have been picking on him doing this. So I don't think anybody's picking on him, man.
No. I go straight for kneecaps, Bo. I don't even try to.
No,
think about it. Look, if you're a small guy and you're going up
against being a Lions fan,
10 monster, let's be honest. The only way you got to fight and chant in hell is two things: either A, one, be faster than him and jump on his back like a spider monkey, or two, just hit him in the kneecaps and bring him down to your height, and then you got to fight and chance. Just say. There's ways you can do that, Bo. That,
So
let's
you're
put it out
saying
there.
you got beat
I'm not trying
I
to say that
gotcha.
I can totally. I would run like a little
Moral of this
schoolboy.
story is Jay got beat up a lot. Right.
Hey,
So
real
what
quick.
do you
Hey, I know,
doing?
I know it's almost time to get out of here, but I do want to talk about one last quick thing, real quick.
Yeah, what you got?
We got Rivera and we got Ryan interviewing for the Jets job. Where do you think the Jets wind up going now?
Yeah. That's the two options.
That is so far. It says Ryan and Rivera suspected to interview for the Jets job. I'm just saying, out of those two, I gotta be honest with you. None of these names excite me. Like, I just see repetitive bullshit.
Well, I mean, if I'm a coach, if I'm interviewing for that job, my first question: are we getting a quarterback or are we keeping Rodgers?
Yes.
Because if we're keeping Rodgers, I don't want that job.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
He's too good at getting guys fired. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't want that job.
He's too much of a prima donna. He's too old. And I'm sorry, I think the game has kind of passed him up a little bit. He's not the same Aaron Rodgers out there. I mean, I don't think he's been the same Aaron Rodgers. He certainly can't hook up with Devontae Adams. And that was, if anybody was going to spark something out of Aaron Rodgers, should have been Devontae. And the fact that nothing even came out of that, really.
Well, and now you're hearing a lot of Garrett Wilson may want to force a trade if Rodgers is staying, right? So, I mean, I don't want to walk, like, if I'm a coach, certainly if I'm a guy like Ron Rivera, where this would be your third stop, probably your last shot.
Literally.
Right?
Literally.
Probably your last shot at it. I don't want to walk into a situation that you're already kind of behind the eight ball, right? I mean, you're going into a situation where the quarterback's not going to listen to you, has a tendency to get guys fired, a lot of pressure to immediately perform. Like, I don't know. Like, that's not a situation I would want to walk into.
And the thing with Ron Rivera, there's still that health concern there because he just came off a heart attack, if I'm not mistaken, with the Commanders. I mean.
Oh yeah.
Like, that was a big thing. That was a big thing back then, and I'm wondering, can he handle what it's going to take to try to revive a team like the Jets?
No one can. Nobody's been able to get that team to do anything since Rex Ryan.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, it's almost like our career's going to die.
That was funny when, and it was the right call though. He pushed him. He was like 4 yards out of bounds and he pushed him down. So, like, that's an unnecessary roughness penalty every day. So,
if you're that far out of bounds and you're still making contact, yeah.
Yeah. So whether you're a quarterback or not, you hit someone out of bounds, it's a late hit, it's unnecessary roughness. Everybody gets those. But yeah, I mean, nobody's been able to make anything with the Jets since Rex Ryan was there with Sanchez, right?
Yeah.
They've been hot trash ever since then. So do I think that Rivera is going to be the guy that can turn it around? No, because I don't think he's going to have the control of the roster, right?
Right.
So if they're bringing back Lazard and Adams and Rodgers, man, you keep looking. Like, that is not the job. If you are either a first-time head coach or you are a last shot at the apple kind of thing, last bite at it, that's not the job.
Right. And let's be honest. I mean, they already said that the owner acts like a teenager. So that kind of tells you that if your owner's acting like a teenager, how far can you really take that team?
Yeah. No,
so I think they need a whole gut job. Like, they need to get rid of the general manager. The hell, they really should get rid of the damn owner.
Well, that's the thing.
But
right?
they can't.
Ownership, the way it is, it's a dysfunctional team. If you're in a position where you can go there and it wouldn't directly taint your legacy, sure, take the job. It's free money, whatever. But if you need it to either stay relevant in the league or it's your first shot at it and you may not get a second if it goes real bad, that's not the spot, right? Like, there's tons of guys that they started with the Jets or the Browns that didn't get another shot because it's just so dysfunctional. Or when you think of, the Panthers as of late with Tepper as the new owner, a lot of those guys aren't going to get another shot.
Right.
And it's because it went so poorly there. And was it the fault of the coaches? Probably not. Like, they didn't have talent. They had an owner that is ridiculous. It doesn't really make sense. So,
and I gotta believe if you're a young coordinator, like let's take Texans, Bobby Slovic, right, offense coordinator. If you're a young coordinator like that, would you really want to take a job like the Jets? I mean, that would just be. I don't know if that'd be the one avenue that I'd want to get into the league with, because I feel like the deck is already stacked against you.
So if you are one of the top coordinators, you could survive it, right?
Yeah.
So if you were if you were him or Brian Johnson or one of those guys, right, and you went there, or Ben Johnson rather, if you went there and it didn't work,
right.
it wouldn't tank your coaching career. You'd probably have to go back to being a coordinator somewhere, your next stop, but you'd get another shot at it, because they would look at it and be like, you know what? The Jets are dysfunctional. It was your first shot at it. You might've been a little over your skis to turn something around. You did well at your next stop as a coordinator. We'll give you another shot. Right.
Right.
So you could survive that. If you're one of the mid-level guys, you may not get another shot. If you're a Ron Rivera, this is probably your last opportunity. So I don't know that you would want to take that, especially with the amount of jobs that are going to be available. Right. Because
that's exactly right.
There's
a lot. It seems to me like there's a lot of coaching opportunities right now in the league.
Oh, I mean, there definitely is, right? You have the Bears, you have both New York teams, because let's be honest, if the right guy came along, Dable would be out. You got the Saints. You got realistically, Jacksonville will probably be looking for a guy. I mean, there's a lot of coaching. There's going to be a couple more. The Raiders may be looking for one. Yeah. So there's been people
looking for a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, there's people calling for Mayo's job with the Patriots. So I mean, like, there's a lot of options. So would you deliberately step into one where the roster is terrible, the ownership is bad? I mean, why? Why would you do that?
God, the only job, if I was going to come out right now, the only job that really truly be appealing to me would be the Chicago job, because I feel like there's a lot of cap space. There's a lot of things you can do with the roster maneuverabilities and stuff.
Yeah.
The only headache would be, what do I do with Caleb Williams? Or is this guy really, going to be the guy? And if you can answer that question,
I mean, the thing is they're connected with Pete Carroll. And if there's anybody that could do something with that guy, it's Pete. Because the one thing that organization's been missing for years is energy, and Pete has no shortage of that.
Yeah, he really doesn't. even at his age, he has no shortage of energy.
No. Like he's probably the most energetic guy in the league, even at 73. I mean, so I'm always impressed by it. So, like, if the Bears were to pick him up, that would be a great plug and play. He doesn't have to try and rebuild a roster. They have a good defense. They have elements on the offense. They obviously have to address the offensive line a little bit, although it did play better as the year went on. The biggest thing is he needs somebody that can coach Caleb Williams, because he holds the ball too long.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Man, I guess at the end of the hour, dang, it went by fast. Well,
it did.
Pick all this craziness up in the new year.
Right on. If you are watching alongside us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. If you're watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Other than that, hope you have a great New Year's Eve, New Year's Day with all the games, and we will see you bright and early Thursday morning, 2025. Take it easy, everybody.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports Podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast Podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports.